welcome back to Savor the Moments with Tia and Friends. I am so excited to give you a sneak, not even a sneak peek, but a new wave of norm that we have going on here at Savor the Moments with Tia and Friends. This season, we are on the road. We left Sag Harbor, New York. We are in Charlotte, North Carolina. I wanted to give you lovely people an inside look to beautiful bed and breakfasts, women-owned bed and breakfasts, and really support them. This is the time to support our local entities, whether it's a restaurant, a shop, a B&B. We need to be supporting local everywhere you go. So this season, you're gonna see us go to local shops, stay at local B&Bs safely, and really sharing their stories, sharing their journey with you. So when you feel safe, you're able to hop in your car, or if you want to fly, you can fly too. But we hopped in our car from Sag Harbor, New York, to come down all the way to Charlotte, North Carolina. Yes, we drove. Lyle and I had a lot of fun. But on another note, I am so excited to walk in here and give you a peek of Miss Elsie's world, Cheryl's world, and everything that she has to offer here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So let me give you a peek into her world. Come on. First, I gotta mask up. Okay, all right, now I'm ready.
Hello, Tia. Welcome to Miss Elsie's. How are you?
Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm so excited to stay here. I'm so excited to dine with you.
Thank you for coming. We're so glad to have you.
And learn your story.
Come on in.
Yes.
Come on in. Come, join me. And before we go inside, I have to introduce you to the love of my life, Miss Elsie. That's my grandmother's, the last portrait she sat for at the ripe old age of 86. She lived to be 94 years old. She's a mother of 10, grandmother of 35, great-grandmother of 40 plus, and a great-great-grandmother of 8 at the time of her passing. We lost her on November 26 of 2006 at 5:45 in the morning. She simply slept away. World traveled, seen everything she's ever seen and wanted to know. She said, you meet all people right where they are till they show you a different face. And even then, it's not your struggle, it's God's struggle, because they're all God's children. And only God can deal with his children. So come, you come with me.
Yes, let's. I like that. I like that.
Yes. So this is Miss Elsie's. We've been here for 21 years. We're celebrating a phenomenal legacy of a woman who has world traveled. Wow. This is the only room that we have that actually has a name. It's called Generations. The piece on the wall, the sun represents my grandmother and the women on either side, myself and my mother. But then we took it back 5 generations, because when I was creating the house, my grandmother said that her grandmother also owned a guest house. So I come from 5 generations of women in business. Wow. And so we then dedicated the piece to my great-great-grandmother, Celia. And then because my grandmother was raised by her grandmother and I was raised by her, and so to celebrate the legacy, I dedicated the entire property to my great-great-grandmother, Celia. So fictitiously, right now, you're at Celia's Island. Wow. Miss Elsie's is at Celia's Island. This living room was colored for my mother because she's the bond between my grandmother and I, and this is the center of the house. And the rest is just me celebrating life. So welcome to Miss Elsie's. Come, join me.
So beautiful.
And this is my signature recipe. This is the second article that I had featured in Essence magazine. My signature St. Martin pan-fried salmon, sweet potato hash browns, fried plantain, and a salad. So get ready to eat. Come.
Oh, and I'm going to order up.
Come. Oh. And this piece over here, this was actually the first piece that we had featured in the Essence magazine. This actually hit the market the day my mother passed away. The moment actually that my mom passed, I was actually looking at TV and Jamie Foxx was on Oprah cracking up, and I didn't hear what he was saying. And I turned and I looked back and my mom was gone. I was like, Ma, you wait until I left? Until I turned my head and then you leave me? And we started laughing. But my husband gave it to me as a gift because he said to me, he said, your mom was so proud. Because the day that Essence called me, right, to ask me if I wanted to be in the article, I said no. And my mother said, So I called my mom. I said, Mom, you're not going to believe who just called me. She said, who? I said, Essence. She says, and how do you feel? I said, guess okay. She's like, okay, then great. And she hung up on me because she didn't want to talk to me. It was funny. And this here is just the Wall of Fame. This is actually the very first article that they did on me in Charlotte. That's when we opened up the inn, and that was really fun because the Charlotte Post is a great magazine. And then down here, this is where I call my memory corner. This corner right here is the only corner in the house that actually represents me. I'm a water baby. I enjoy spending time at the water. And so this space just relaxes me. And to do that, I also brought in my what I call my memory table, but also my angel table. And everybody on this table is gone. So pretty much, this is my great-great-grandfather, Mr. Martin Rumney. This is my grandmother's father. And this is my great-great-grandfather, my maternal great-grandfather, and that's Mr. Hiram Richardson. And then we have, my mom is over here. This is my mother. The baby in that picture is my mother and my grandmother and her first 4 children. That's my mom. My mom was a diva. She just loved posing and taking pictures. And this picture right here is my parents' wedding picture, but my parents aren't even in it. It's so funny. That's the families coming together for the first time, you know?
I love it.
And this one here, again, is my mom showing off on Sunday. And this picture right here is really my heartfelt picture. This is my mom and my aunt. These two were inseparable. They did everything together, and so much so that they died 5 months apart. Wow. And when my mom passed, she actually passed the day after my aunt's birthday. And we started laughing. We said, my mom always made my aunt wait. And we said when she got to heaven, my aunt probably said to her, Gertrude, yesterday was my birthday. And she said, yeah, but you know, I'm always late. So it's no big deal, right? And this is my Aunt Louise. She taught me how to ride my first bike on Eastern Parkway in Brooklyn, New York. And this is my first Easter in America. Oh, wow. And this picture is my Aunt Mary. She taught me how to raise a man-child. She says, you fight them. And then when you leave this earth, then nobody can say that you didn't raise a good man. And then this is my grandmother's baby sister, Tanti Rosa. Tanti Rosa has always been in our house. My grandmother has always had her picture in the house because she was my grandmother's heartstring. She was her baby sister. And she always kept her. I couldn't have Miss Elsie's and not have Tanti Rosa in the house. So these are all my angel people. My water space. This whole section just reminds me of my my Caribbean heritage, but more so than anything. You see that little girl back there?
I do.
That's me. That's what I look like when I met my grandmother for the first time. So that's our falling in love picture.
I love it.
She told me that I showed up at her doorstep at 1 o'clock in the morning, just cooing and carrying on. So Miss Elsie's is nothing more than a love story between a grandmother and a granddaughter. Simply put, you know, just paying homage to a phenomenal woman who's world traveled, seen everything she's ever wanted to see and know. She would always tell you, I had a 7th grade education. She says, and girls were not allowed to, you know, go to school past, you know, a certain 7th grade. She said, because they only felt that you would just be, you know, have kids and move forward. And she says, look at life and look at me. She made her money in real estate, and she said, God's gift. God took care of her. Her prayer in life was, Lord, please allow me to live long enough to see my children grow old enough to take care of themselves, because she was a motherless child. She lost her mother when she was 7 years old. And she said she had the world's best father. But she was born in the Dominican Republic. And then she said when they became too much for her father sent them to St. Martin to his mother. And then she was raised by her grandmother there. And then she left St. Martin and went to Aruba at the age of 16, 17 years old to go to Aruba to work at the oil refineries. And that's where she met my grandfather, and that's where this giant legacy comes from. So yes, so welcome. We're just celebrating, always celebrating and telling her story. You know, people have told me they have felt her presence. She has never crossed the threshold of this house. 3 weeks before I created this project, before I finished it actually, she suffered a massive stroke. So she has never physically walked through this house, but people tell me they feel her presence all the time here. So 5 generations of women in business, 21 years of celebrating a phenomenal woman and a phenomenal legacy, and just enjoying life and enjoying people and just having a great time, spoiling you guys. My biggest challenge is getting you guys to go home. People don't want to leave. People don't want to leave. So I've been enjoying myself. It's been a wonderful journey, an amazing journey, and grateful to God for all that I have and have been able to do.
I would love to just sit down, take off my mask and have some water, and then talk with you a little bit more. And we can leave that in. We can leave that in, everyone, because this is real. Masking up is real. So we're going to sit down 6 feet apart, and we're going to dive into another conversation.
Hi, this is Anastasios Mendes. I'm the owner of the Mendes Estates Extra Virgin Olive Oil. My grandfather started almost 75 years ago. He came to the United States and saw this opportunity to grow, and he has one of the first olive oil factories and flour in Greece, in Neapoli, Laconia. Neapoli, Laconia is the south part of Peloponnese. We're using Arthoilia. It's over 75 years old trees. It's a natural grow, and it's unblended, and we try to keep the same quality, the way we treat the trees and the olive oil for the taste. We are here in the United States, and we try to give a better quality for extra virgin olive oil. We're proud to be a Greek product.
My goodness.
Ah, it smells so good.
With a mask on, you know, it's a new wave of Norm, but at the same time, knowing having it on, it's safe.
Yes.
But when you take it off, I just love seeing the smile. And I'm glad we're 6 feet apart.
Yes,
and I'm glad I get to see your beautiful smile too.
Thank you, thank you. Like, it feels good to breathe again, you know?
I know, and it feels good to hydrate.
Woo, yes.
All day, every day. Cheers to that. Now tell us about, how did you take your leap of faith?
For me, the business started as a dream. I simply had a dream that I saw my grandmother standing on the veranda of a beautiful white house overlooking the ocean. And I was walking on the beach, walking and crying because I had just learned that she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And in the dream, she calls out my name and she says, "Cheryl, stop crying." She says, "But celebrate my life. You have so much in life to be thankful for. Celebrate." And she threw her hands up in the air in what was the most gorgeous white dress I had ever seen. The wind was blowing through her as though she was a ghost, but she was alive. The dream then unfolds from the time I was a child until I was an adult. And each time we were having breakfast. Breakfast is the one thing Granny and I always did together before we went shopping or hanging out. So as I started to reflect on the dream, I said it had to be something culturally indicative. It had to be near a body of water. It had to have some amenities. And it had to be in real estate because that's how she made her money. I had that dream on March 2nd of 2000. And I found the house the very next day. I wasn't looking for it. The person whom I shared the vision with the day before saw the house
Wait, who was that person?
That's a dear friend of mine.
Okay.
Dr. Loretta Griffin. Everybody asked me that question. And she said, "Oh, a house for sale? Does it look like something I might want?" She goes, "Yeah." So I made a crazy U-turn in the street not too far from me here, and I pulled into the people's driveway. And she goes, "Yeah, well, what do you think?" I said, "Well, it looked like it can come out of the Caribbean. It's a ranch house. It has a tin roof. And your point is?" She goes, "Good. Call the realtor." I said, "Because I'm not buying no house." She said, "I said call the realtor." I said, "I'm not buying no house." And we argued. And the rest is history. It was 12 o'clock when we saw the house the very first time. It was 3 o'clock when we came back in and walked through the doors of the house for the very first time.
Wow.
And when I walked through the doors of the house for the very first time, I hated everything about it. There was absolutely nothing in this house that I liked, and I mean nothing. And as we walked through the house, she was standing in the doorway looking out at the swimming pool, and she said to me, "If everything you said to me yesterday is true today, this would be the perfect house." I said, "She can't be looking at the same house I'm looking at, because this house is just god-awful ugly." And she said, "And if I were you, I'd get my husband in here right away." And I said, "Okay." So I turned to the realtor and I said, "May I?" And he said, "Yes, you may." And so we agreed to come back, and it was 12 o'clock the next day. And when we walked in the house the very next day with my husband, he goes, "Why do we have to buy a house we have to fix?" I said, "Because then we can't afford it." He goes, "Well, you're in it by yourself." He said, "Because I don't want it." I was like, "Yeah, right, whatever." But I was standing in the doorway of the kitchen, and I was simply led by the Spirit. And I simply said to the realtor, "If you would allow me to bring every inspector into this house to do what it is I think I want to do, I'd be prepared to make you an offer. And he said, sure. So I had a 30-day verbal on the house with no money on it, and everywhere I went, I got a yes, and I got scared.
Wow.
I had never done anything in my life without my grandmother's permission or cognizance, because there was nothing in my life that I had ever been through that my grandmother was not a part of, good, bad, or indifferent. And I said, no, Cheryl, call Granny. And so I did. I was in the parking lot over at Greenway Elementary, not too far from here, and I called her. And the home care person said, Cheryl, she's not going to talk to you today. She just sat down for the first time in 2 days. I said, put her on the phone, she'll talk to me. She said, I said she is not going to talk to you today. She just sat down for the first time in 2 days. I said, put her on the phone, she'll talk to me. She was like, yeah, right, okay, fine, whatever. And she put her on the phone. And I said, hey, sexy. She said, hey. I said, what are you doing? She said, girl, I just sitting here, stupid. I said, what are you doing? She said, I said, I'm just sitting here. I said, oh, God, don't upset her. Because if she gets upset and if she gets ornery, they're going to be really mad at you. So just do not upset her. I said, guess what? She said, what? I said, I think I want to open up a bed and breakfast. She goes, what's that? I said, you know, it's like a guest house. She goes, oh, I think it's a wonderful idea. She said, people will come from all over the world to eat with you. I said, why did you say that? She said, because I'm telling you what I know. I said, why did you say that? She said, I'm just telling you what I know. She said, my only concern for you is I don't want your rent to be too high. She says, because people are funny. She said, when they start seeing you do well, you'll start raising your rent and raising your rent, and before you know it, you would have established yourself in the marketplace. Your clients will have to try to find you, and you don't want them to have to do that. I said, well, no, Granny, I'm not going to rent it. I'm going to buy it. She said, well, you know, if it's an investment, you know I'll tell you to buy it. And if tomorrow you decide you don't want to do it anymore, at least you still have a house. I said, well, yes, this is true. I said, but guess what? She said, what? I said, I think I want to name it after you. She said, me. I said, yeah. She said, people going to say, what kind of crazy name is that? I said, I'll just tell Miss Cheryl's crazy grandmother, that's all. And she started laughing. And I could almost see her belly chuckling. And then she got real quiet. And at least 10 minutes passed, and she didn't say a word. And I said, well, Granny, what do you think? She said, with God's peace, you have my blessing. She said, trust God for all things. She said, because I just believe you're going to do well. She said, don't you remember me telling you that when I was a child, my grandmother used to own a guest house and people used to come from all over the world to eat with her? It wasn't until she said it that it came back to my recollection. And I asked her, I said, well, what was she known for? She said, fish. I said, what kind of fish? She said, all kind of fish, grouper, snapper, kingfish, you name it. People came from all over the world to eat with her. And I hadn't said anything to anyone, but I wanted seafood to be the main staple of the house, and seafood is something I don't even eat. And I said, I love you. She said, I love you too. And she went right back to babbling as though we had no conversation. And even unto her death, she had no recall that she gave me permission to do this. I had loan approval in an hour and a half, and I closed the house in a little short time thereafter. And the seller was so not prepared for me to buy the house as quickly as I did, he literally rented the house back from me.
Wow.
And so God not only gave me this gift, he also gave me income, and he gave me a gift that, what I often like to say to people is, people get to choose what they want to do for a living.
Yes.
But my business chose me. Because I have never set my foot in a bed and breakfast in my life.
Oh my gosh.
And so after the seller gave me the keys, he called me a little while after, and he gave me the keys to the house and so forth. I said to God, I said, okay, God, you've given me this house. Now what am I supposed to do with it? I said, because I've never been in a bed and breakfast. I don't know what people do in bed and breakfast. I had started doing some homework and some research and so forth. But I'm like, okay, fine. So now what am I supposed to do? And when he gave me the keys in June, I literally walked and prayed the house, went to sleep, and had a dream that a woman walked me through the entire house and told me what colors to put where and why. This room that we're in right now, its original color was aloe vera. Ooh. Because aloes was a holistic herb that we use in the Caribbean for healing and holistic health, and I balanced it with the white for calming and serenity. And then the living room was the only room that I came into the house knowing I would color a particular color, and it was yellow. Because as a child growing up, my mother said that yellow was her favorite color, but when she walked through the doors of the house for the very first time crying, she said, oh God, Cheryl, this is a bright room. I said, yes, Mommy, because you said yellow is your favorite color. She said, I never said that. I said, well, it's yellow now, so get over it. And we laughed. And then the king suite, the room that you're going to stay in, The king suite is called bamboo because bamboo means good luck. And that's what we wish for all of our guests while they're here. And in the kitchen, I always had one bold color, bright color, so that I could wake up in the morning when I wake up at 4 or 5, whenever hour I wake up to do breakfast, I would have the color to energize me. And so that's the spirit of the house. And that's when God spoke to me and gave me my purpose for this house. And he said, for 7 days, you've been asking me what your purpose is. Your only purpose is to serve my children. He said, in your grandmother's house, you never had to pretend. And so too in that house. He said, that house is supposed to be a place where healing takes place, spiritual rejuvenation takes place, marriage enrichment takes place. Because all too often, my children don't have a place where they could just rest, relax, and be. He said, in your grandmother's house, you didn't have to pretend. And he said, for 7 days, you've been asking me what your purpose is. Your only purpose is to serve my children. Walk and pray. And I walked and prayed, and God gave me visions of what I should be doing next in the journey and how I should serve you guys more and how I should present. And so in the beginning, when I created this project, I brought my grandmother's passion for the kitchen and my mother's passion for crystal and china, and I brought that fusion together. And then as I've grown older in the business, now standing here 21 years later doing this, which I had initially said I would only do it for 5 years.
My goodness.
I'm still standing, still serving, still doing it, but doing it with a little bit more wisdom, a little bit more grace. I've had phenomenal people here. I've served everyone here from ambassadors to governors, prime ministers, celebrities, a handful. Regular folk just like you and me, just kicking back and enjoying the space. But most people come as strangers and they leave as family and friends. So for 21 years, I've got family and friends all around the world.
One of the many things when you were just sharing your story about just finding this house and having it start as a dream, and what I really, really love, I'm loving the whole story, but what I love even more is you're bringing your culture, your lineage in this home. Mm-hmm. So everyone can have a taste of the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. Everyone can have a taste of what Cheryl's dream is, but also what Miss Elsie's dream is. And also, I did see a name, Celia?
Celia's Island, right. That's my paying homage to my great-great-grandmother, Celia, because that's my grandmother's mother, right?
Okay.
And grandmother was raised by her, and I was raised by my grandmother, right? So I come from 5 generations of women in business.
Yes.
I come from that strong legacy. So what I did was I fictitiously named this whole property. I dedicated the entire property to my great-great-grandmother Celia because she was the grandmother that had the guest house before me, right? And then I named Miss Elsie's, right, which is her grandmother, which is her heartstring, her love, right? So great-great-grandmother in the spirit realm can hold her granddaughter, right?
Yes.
And then I dedicated the living room to my mother because she's the bond between my grandmother and I, right? And so I painted that room for her in yellow, and we call that room Generations, right? And then I run it. And so just celebrating a legacy of some phenomenal women. I have the history of my grandparents and the women who walked this road before me. And even when we celebrate, we pay homage to my grandmothers and all the ancestors who walked the road before me. But when I designed the house with intention, I literally had Hispanic men to lay all the tile work in the house because my grandmother's originally from Santo Domingo. So I wanted my foundation to be Spanish. And then I had black men, young and old, paint all the walls in this house because my grandfather was the first man I fell in love with. And I just wanted black men to embrace me and to hold me and support me through this journey. Yeah. I've had the privilege of having beautiful black men in my life. And then I had the crown molding done by white gentlemen just to have a spirit of inclusion. Yeah. Because to sit at my grandmother's table is to sit at the United Nations. My family is very multicultural, so it's not uncommon to have diversity at the table. And so you can't have my grandmother's house or call something in my grandmother's name and not have diversity. And so being world traveled and she's seen everything she's ever wanted to see and know, I had to have a little bit of everyone work on the house, and that was with intention.
Well, I cannot wait to dive into the savory dishes tomorrow.
Okay, I'm going to spoil
And Everyone, you will see us diving into these savory dishes tomorrow. And I can't wait to savor. I really can't, Cheryl. It's going to be... Should I eat dinner tonight?
You can. I want you to stay well.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure 3 courses breakfast. My goodness.
But get ready.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to get
Come
ready.
to the table with some loose pants, though. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I will.
Okay.
Well, everyone, stay tuned. The next time that you'll be seeing us sitting down will be at the table.
Good morning to you. Welcome to breakfast. Your fruit plate has on it this morning mangoes, Honeycrisp apples, golden kiwi, pineapples, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, banana, and pineapple, and navel orange. And your base this morning is a peach mango applesauce. So take the time and enjoy. I'm going to go work on breakfast. Your juice this morning...
Wait, you said you're going to go work on breakfast.
Right. Your juice this morning is a pineapple mango and a ginger smoothie. All right? Enjoy.
Ooh, thank you.
You're welcome, sweetheart.
Oh, we're going to savor.
Good morning to you. Round 2. This is a St. Martin pan fried salmon with scrambled eggs and roasted hash browns with a salad and fried plantain. All right?
Oh, my goodness.
Enjoy, sweetheart.
Well, I'm going to savor all right. Everyone, if you're a salmon lover like I am, and I told her I love salmon, make sure you tell her that so she can make the same thing for you. It's so good. My goodness. Whew, my goodness.
Here we go, round 3. We have a pineapple tart with rum raisin ice cream and bunch of cream ganache.
Now, you know, for a sweet tooth, this is the perfect way to end my breakfast.
Enjoy.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. This is the perfect way to start any day. It's savory, it's sweet. You have to come to Miss Elsie's Caribbean Bed and Breakfast, everyone, just so you can start your day this way. And stay tuned, everyone. Next stop, we're gonna be heading up to Charlotte to see what other great places to explore while you're staying here.